Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jughead's Basement. This is Jughead, not in his basement, as we learn in this interview with Greg Norton. I was very excited to conduct this one. I just reached out to him on Instagram, and he replied right back in the affirmative, and that was amazing. So I thank him for this episode. If you want me to continue this work, it is in your hands, well, your hands and my hands, to let this happen. It would be nice if you can to donate to the show. You can do it at one time. Just go to that website, www.jugheadsbasementpodcast.com, and you can follow that link to PayPal if you have that, and you can give a one-time donation to the show. That's jugheadsbasement@gmail.com. Or you can join the Patreon and donate at a monthly pay structure, which you can also do 1 year at a time, which is really great. And that's $2, $5, or $10 tiers. And you get extra shit for all those tiers, mostly unedited videos of most of the interviews that I conduct. And you get those before the at-home audience gets the audio. You often get the audio podcast a little bit before the audience at large, too. So you get that. Also, sometimes you get to correspond directly with me through posts that I'll write to the patron members only. Hey, let's just get right into this. Here we go. Right now, you're listening to Who Knows by Ultrabomb off their album Dying to Smile. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jughead's Basement, episode 224 of Lo-Fi Interviews with Hi-Fi Guests. This week with Greg Norton of Ultrabomb and Hüsker Dü. In this episode, Greg talks to us about being night people, Greg's friendship with Grant Hart and the formation of Hüsker Dü, board game talk, Hüsker Moms, introduction to SST, Men and Hüsker Dü's double album race, feeling isolated after the breakup, restaurant work is similar to being in a band, formation of Ultrabomb, its genesis and recording style, fuck cancer, and one moment, one time, plus much, much, much more. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. I just so you know, I jump right into it recording wise. That's the way I roll. So we're in it.
Right on. Well, thanks for inviting me into the basement.
Yeah. Well, right now my basement is in Chicago and I'm in Japan. So I'm actually on the second floor, but it's still considered my basement, I guess.
I haven't done an interview with somebody that's in the future since I did an interview with an Australian newspaper after we signed to Warner Brothers. So talking to you, and you are in tomorrow.
I am in tomorrow. Yeah, we have typhoon weather here in tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, I've got about a half an hour before I catch up with you.
Yeah. Usually I have my interviews at weird hours for me. This is like a late hour for you, early for me. So the audience knows I'm like at 1:30 p.m. and Greg is at 11:30?
11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It's
the night before.
The night before, exactly.
I actually, that led me to a question right off the top. Like, are you a night person?
I've always been a night person.
I know both, unlike a lot of your careers, just music and even working in the restaurant business lends itself to late night work, right?
Yep. When my mom always told me about when I was a little kid that I would always perk up when it was time to go to bed. So probably something on the spectrum there, but
I don't know. I mean, yeah, well, maybe because I could be on the spectrum too. I was going to say that for most of my life was how I was like. I actually used to have nightmare, like walking nightmare problems. So like around 1 a.m.
oh
when I was
wow,
a
yeah,
kid. And I realized that I did some reading about it, and it was because my mind was still too active to be like going to sleep. So once I started being a late night person with bands and going to dance clubs and stuff like that and theater, I didn't. It all subsided. It stopped. I guess I'm naturally a late night person too.
yeah, same here. Always have been.
So, Greg, just so you know how I'd like to do this, if you're up for it, is I do want to focus the last half mostly completely on Ultrabomb because I really love the band.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
But if you don't mind, we'll take like a walk through your history, which you've probably gone over thousands of times before. But hopefully, I can do a unique take on it. But
Yeah, right on.
I think the way I construct things, I think a lot of the stuff I'd like to touch on with your past will actually reflect on what I'm going to ask you as Ultrabomb. So I hope you don't mind me going into those deep crevices of your past.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Let's dive.
So first, Greg, just in the personal life, I'm from Illinois, Chicago, and one of the things I think it was Wiki. It said you were from Rock Island, Illinois, or lived somewhere else. Were born there, but then you moved to Minnesota pretty quickly. So just give me a rundown
Right.
of what that is all about.
My family lived in Rock Island. My mother was Catholic. The only Catholic hospital in the Quad Cities in 1959 happened to be in Davenport, Iowa. So I was born in Davenport. And then as soon as I could, I got the hell out of Iowa and went back to Rock Island. I was like 13 hours old, maybe 20 hours old. I really have a choice in that.
You hit the road and you're on your way to Rock
That's
Island.
right.
The second place, best place to be in Chicago, I guess.
Right. And my family actually quickly moved to Omaha, Nebraska. By the time I was 6, my sister told me that one of the times that we were moving, they basically stuffed me in like a drawer, in like a chest of drawers to like keep me probably snug and secure, whatever. So I guess I was, abducted. And then my first memories are from Omaha, and actually moved to Minnesota when I was like 4.5.
My one of my best friends growing up was his family was from Nebraska, and they were a pretty wild crowd. Like he was also a Catholic upbringing, and he went to like the Catholic school, and it really kind of fucked him up a bit. Like he was kind of really rebellious once we got to like high school and college. It kind of like he was a monster set loose or something.
I was in Catholic school through 7th grade, and the one thing that I know for sure is that it turned me into an atheist. So, I got that going for me. I am a recovering Catholic though. So, there's still some guilt issues that creep in now and again.
Yeah. I mean, I realize even as an atheist, or maybe more just, I don't know, that there's a lot of, we have Christian upbringings just being in America in many ways, so there's a lot of way it sneaks in. Some of it good, I think, some of it, like that. So that compassion also comes with that guilt.
Yep.
So do you consider yourself a Minnesota person then? Is that, do you live by the idea of where you're from in the country? Does it affect who you are, you think?
I don't necessarily adhere to that, although I've lived in Minnesota for the majority of my life. So yeah, I'm from Minnesota. I definitely have benefited from growing up here. So it's a good state, good schools, blah, blah, blah. I also have been very fortunate in the fact that I was able to start traveling all over the country, and then Hüsker Dü started in 1979. I just turned 20, and getting out on the road and meeting other people and visiting other new cities, and it's like, hey, they do things different here.
Yeah,
that was really eye-opening, and helped break down a lot of I think barriers that people get set up with from early on if they don't have an opportunity to get out and experience something new and new to them.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't even drive till I started touring. So that's when when I got my license, was to go touring across the country. That was
right on.
What an experience. But I also what I was going to say is I just did an interview with Steve McDonald from Red Cross, and I was sort of comparing, he's my age exactly. So we were talking about the difference between like growing up in California compared to like the Midwest. And it was weird because a lot of the talk with him is always about Kiss. It seems to come up a lot, the band. But he was saying that it was sort of rebellious in his age to be into Kiss, whereas me in the Midwest, that was kind of in our blood. I don't know. You're a little bit older, so I don't know what.
So I'm 66.
Yeah. So you had, but you still had that Midwest rock probably in you, I would think.
Yeah. I never really got into Kiss, although Bob definitely was like really loved Kiss. And I think Grant a little bit more so than I did. But yeah, the stuff I grew up, Minneapolis, St. Paul was a good area. Saw a lot of, big acts in the 70s that were an influence, and but also had an opportunity to see some smaller acts in St. Paul that I think even were more so helped push me on this path. And then of course getting out of high school and going to work in a record store when punk rock was exploding was huge.
Did you have a lot of back then we probably called them imports and independent records? Did your record store have a good selection of like records from all over?
1978 is when Grant Hart and I met.
Yeah.
Working in a record store. But we didn't really have any imports. So we were just like whatever the major labels were pumping through that looked like punk rock, we would open up and listen to. And then we discovered a store in Minneapolis called Orfolk Joke Opus, which I think is pretty legendary. And that was like where everybody went for import singles. And, they were really tied into what was going on. Later on, I did work for another record store, Northern Lights, and they started their own import company called Twin City Imports. And they really brought in a lot of stuff that was cool at that point. That was like probably 80, 81.
Yeah, I think what Greg was really cool about us, I think growing up in the Midwest, basically the line down the middle of the country where you way up there, Minnesota, me, in Chicago, I'm slightly more, whatever. People understand what Midwest means.
Oh yeah.
But yep. we both got to experience both East and West Coast bands like touring, like going on their way. So for the audience to know, the Midwest was actually a hotbed for getting a lot of famous bands, but also just small bands touring in vans trying to get across the country. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, really good selection of that.
It's a long way from New York to LA, for sure.
I heard one of your interviews recently too. I took to this that one of your early concerts, I don't know if you were talking punk concerts or what was the Pere Ubu concert in Longhorn, I think 1978.
Right. Yeah.
I bring that up now because we just lost David this year from the singer of Pere Ubu on April.
Yep. Yeah. That was really sad. Actually, Grant and I think that might have been one of the first things that we went to together to go to the Longhorn, and Grant was 17. Mm-hmm. So he was underage, but Grant, at the time, and the legal age of drinking in Minnesota was 18. So it's not like a huge stretch, but he had big, mutton chop sideburns, and he did not look like he was 17.
He looked the part.
He looked the part. And he had actually in art class in high school took a T-shirt and painted the dancer off the Modern Dance album cover onto that T-shirt, and he wore it to that show. And David Thomas came up and was like, "Oh man, that is like so cool! Like, where did you get this?" And he's like, "I made it." So that was in '78 before. Actually, that was before we even met Bob. And then Pere Ubu played at the Walker Arts Center, probably I think in might have been late 1979 or early 1980, and then the three of us went and saw them again there. But yeah, those early Pere Ubu performances were pretty mind-blowing to a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, I think that period after like the beginning of the Ramones and into Sex Pistols and the British movement into what was happening here allowed for a lot more weird, almost like progressive music to invade that punk spirit. I thought it was really great. Like, really weird.
Well, that's it. It's, we had the Ramones, we had the Sex Pistols, but there was Pere Ubu was there.
Magazine, stuff like bands like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Magazine, Wire.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Actually, another really great concert that Bob Grant and I went to at the Longhorn was Gang of Four's first U.S. tour.
Oh,
They were
wow.
playing in support of the Buzzcocks.
Wow. Yeah.
So the Longhorns, it was like a 500 capacity room, so it was not huge. But Gang of Four were so good that night, totally blew Buzzcocks off the stage. And a couple days later, some people were going like, "Oh yeah, well, like yeah, the Buzzcocks were." They weren't really on that night because they all dropped acid before they went on stage. Okay, that's cool, but Gang of Four still blew them off the fucking
Yeah, yeah.
stage.
And you can have that, but the Gang of Four were great. And you guys formed the band and were playing out before these sort of shows. Did they influence you to start a band, or were you as a band starting to go to shows together, like to influence yourselves? Or
So Grant and I met in a record store, so we bonded over punk rock,
yeah, yeah,
and then later we meet Bob after he shows up in St. Paul for his freshman year at Macalester College.
right, right.
The first thing that the three of us did together actually was we went to see the Ramones
Hmm.
when they were on tour with Foreigner.
Wow.
They were direct support for Foreigner, and they played like a big arena in St. Paul.
Hot blooded.
And they're out there and they've got the Gabba Gabba Hey like placards that they're jumping around, and we're all like, yeah, Gabba Gabba Hey. And all the Foreigner fans are like, fuck this shit. And as soon as they were done, we all took off. Actually, I think it was maybe 6 weeks after that is when the whole Hüsker Dü thing first started, which was just to be a cover band to play a gig at
Yeah, I read
a
that. Yeah.
small bar in St. Paul. And from that, the three of us were like, hey, we really like playing together. We should keep doing it. And at the same time, we were also like, we don't really vibe with the keyboard player. He was like the manager at the record store.
Mhm.
Because, he was 23
Over the hill.
who wanted to be a fucking stockbroker. And we're like, yeah, we're not vibing with this. So we went off and did our own thing. Ended up doing one more show with him, and that's the night that he gets the keyboard unplugged. April 20th of 1979. So 420 at Macalester College for their Spring Fest. And that's really when Husker Dü first played original music on stage, just the three of us.
Yeah. Greg, I never talk about the origins and names because it's always talked about in so many podcasts. But the reason I want to bring it up here is because as a kid, I was actually very influenced by the game Husker Dü. Like,
wow.
I have the original. I have it in Chicago, but I have the original version from like the 60s, So when Ben, the singer of my band, Screeching Weasel, introduced me to SST, I saw that title and I go, oh, that's Do You Remember? That's one of my favorite games. So I took to the band even before I heard the sound.
Yeah, the fast story, and then a couple of side notes real quick. So one night, Grant and I were just hanging out in my basement. We were probably smoking pot, and we're just goofing around. And he started doing like parody lyrics to "Psycho Killer" by Talking Heads.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when it came to the "Qu'est-ce que c'est" part, he's just like doing a thing, and I just blurted out "Hüsker Dü." So when we started the cover band, this is just like maybe a couple of months after that moment, we went to go to start the cover band. The manager guy is like, well, I already told the bar that we're called Buddy and the Returnables. And the first thing that Grant, Bob, and I were thinking was like, well, that means you're Buddy and we're just the Returnables. We don't want to be the Returnables. And they're like, well, what do you want to call the band then? And I suggested, like, why don't we call it Hüsker Dü, as in, do you remember when rock and roll was good? Yeah. And we decided to go with it. For that very first gig, Grant actually made flyers in one of his high school classes that said, "First time in the USA, Hüsker Dü at Ron's Randolph Inn." Because we're like, Hüsker Dü, nobody knows what that is. We're like, yeah, it sounds like we could be from Scandinavia. So he's like, yeah, first time in the USA.
Yeah, with those are is that umlauts or is that called something different when the over the use? Is that
Yeah.
umlauts?
So the game actually used like the bar over
Yeah,
the
yeah,
U's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the long ooh
Who
sound.
sound, the who sound, yeah.
And of course, we were like, oh, well, we need to change that. So let's change it to umlauts.
Yeah, yeah. That was like the crew.
And before Motley Crue, but
Oh, that's right. That is probably before. And the 79 is
right.
probably before. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, but we were like, oh yeah, well, it looks cool, you know, type of thing. So after we signed to Warner Brothers, we actually met the partner of the guy who created the game Husker Du.
Oh, wow, wow.
So the guy who came up with the game was I believe he was an orthodontist from Boulder, Colorado, or maybe Colorado Springs, somewhere in Colorado. Anyway, he had this idea for a memory game. The story is that there was a Danish exchange student that stayed there, and he heard the phrase "Husker Du." And he's like, oh, well, what does that mean? And it's like, oh, it's like, do you remember? So he decides to name his game that. The interesting thing is that the phrase "Husker Du" in Norwegian and Danish, it's more of like a reminiscing. It's like if you and I were sitting around going like, "Oh, remember that one time? That was like really cool." Right over there, they're like, "Hey, Husker Du, that one time? Yeah, that was really cool." So I'm sure there's like another phrase for like the cognitive, like remembering of like, oh, well, that's that symbol, and the matching one is over here.
My little side story, Greg. I'm sorry, and I'll interrupt over here. Is that I've never told anybody this, but I have a theater company back in Chicago. That's kind of my other living. That's why I'm in Japan. I'm acting here, but I wrote a play that was about follow me here. It was about a 1920s failure of a Broadway show that it was the longest running Broadway show called The Ladder on Broadway, and it failed. And I had my dramaturg try to find something that failed, and we did a study of it, a history of it, and we ended up interviewing a lot of the people that were alive during then that were in the show, and it started leading to all these other crazy things. Somewhere in the process, I decided that, oh, this is about reminiscing and memory. And then I told my whole cast that we could only use Husker Du music in our show.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which really had a really amazing effect to me, because what happened is the show, it didn't do great, but a lot of old Broadway people started coming, like who were in their 80s and 90s. And I had like special speakers built into the theater so it would be loud, like under the seats. So they come to hear this history of this old 1920 show, but all the music is you guys. Like,
Wow.
and they're all like,
I would have loved to have experienced that. That
yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah. So that's my side story of that. And then we also I bought many versions of the Husker Du game so everyone could play like in the waiting area.
I have been gifted many, many copies of the game. So I have two daughters. Actually, my oldest daughter, Coco, turns 11 in just a few minutes.
Oh, wow.
But my younger daughter, Stella, is she's 9.5. Just this last winter, she was like, "Hey, Dad, what's this game?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Husker Du." It's like, "That's like your band's name." And I'm so kind of fill her in on the backstory as much as that 9-year-old wants to hear. And she's like, "Well, I want to play it." So we set it up, and Coco, Stella, and myself, we played many, many games, and Stella totally kicked ass in that game. And she was like, "I love Husker Du." So as a father, I can proudly say that my daughter loves Husker Du. The game.
The game. It's a really great game. For those of you who don't know, I mean, I don't want to go into it, but it's kind of like checker pieces that are on top of board with little circles into it. And then there's a wheel that turns around where you can, and there's pictures underneath all those, but they can change so that you can't like kind of memorize where the pictures were last time you played. So
exactly. Yep. Yeah. And actually having been gifted numerous versions of the game. The one that is available now, super cheap, super flimsy. Those old games, man, they were solid.
Yeah, I know. I went on to eBay to get the original ones because I wanted the original ones for that show. So I got like the 1960s versions. So we could be here forever. So let's move let's move a little forward.
Yeah. So much for board games.
So I was curious as to this was your first band, but did you have bass training? Or was that just the instrument that was needed and you just picked it up? And did you gravitate towards it? I mean,
right. No, I wanted to be a bass player. I bought my first bass when I was 14. And I had taken a couple of lessons from an older kid in my neighborhood, and he actually ended up I ended up buying his Les Paul studio bass, which was the first bass that I played in Hüsker Dü. But I never really, it was kind of a struggle. It's like the friends I hung out with were like really, I don't know. I just never felt that I could keep up with them. But when Grant and I met, we would basically just make a lot of noise, and we enjoyed it. Grant even came up with a name for us. We were called the Electric Cutes, and we never wrote any music, and we never played any shows. But when Husker first got together, Grant picked up Bob, brought him over to my house, where Grant's drum kit was set up in the basement. My bass amp was down there. Bob had a small amp, and we just jammed a bunch of Ramones songs. And then we were like, okay, well, I guess we have a band. And so then, get together with Charlie, and it's like, okay, we're going to learn all of these cover songs. It's like we learned in a couple of months. It's like I had to learn 3 sets worth of songs. Wow. So it was like everything from, we did some Perubu. We played some Buzzcocks. We did the Ramones. We did Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent with some Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello and Dave Edmunds, Rockpile stuff thrown in, and Sweet Jane, which Bob sang, which I think is the first time that Bob ever sang lead vocals on anything, because the band was his first band too, right?
Yeah.
So that was the motivator. It's like, holy shit, I have a gig. I have to learn all this fucking shit. Like, I need to know these songs.
Yeah.
And so it was motivation that really kicked my ass to start playing and learn how to play. But then out of that, being in a band with Bob and Grant, and then we started writing our own music, and that's really where I really learned how to play.
Yeah. I wasn't going to ask this question, but sometimes I ask, did you have your parents, imagine, come from the age of where the Depression happened and people started thinking more seriously about their kids' education and schooling and where they're going to go. Did you have any pressure to be something other than a musician?
Yeah, definitely. My parents were both born in 1928, so they lived through the Depression. My dad was in the Korean War, but they also split up when I was, just about to turn 14, which is when I first, got a bass. My dad never actually saw me play, ever.
Me too.
My mom, on the other hand, constantly said, "When are you going to get a real job?" And she stopped asking me that question when we signed to Warner Brothers.
See, that was the marker. Well, it makes sense for that generation. That would be the marker for people then.
Yeah. Yeah. But my mom went to a lot of shows. Actually, almost every show that we played in the Twin Cities, my mom and Grant Hart's mom would show up, and they even actually had at one point somebody made them T-shirts that said Hüsker Moms that they would probably wear.
Yeah. My mother was very I was raised by my mother. My father died when I was younger, but she was definitely supportive of me. But she, even till recently, she'll say like, well, when are you going to give this up and start teaching? Like, because she always wanted me to be a teacher. And I'm like 58 now. I'm like, Mom, I've been living on acting and music my whole life now.
Right.
There's still something in the brain of those earlier generations of that, of what to take seriously and what not to. It's interesting. Let's jump a little bit to I'm curious as the transition from starting out into then making a crossover with like the California scene and SST, like, because that's where me and Ben, the singer from Screeching Weasels, discovered you guys. Was we would collect anything that SST put out. So can you just give a little bit of that? It doesn't have to go too deep into it, but how did that form?
Right. Really, I always think back to when Black Flag released the Jealous Again EP, and Bob picked it up at Northern Lights Records, and he was like, "Holy shit, this stuff is like crazy." And it wasn't long after that we had an opportunity. Actually, the first time we were out of town, we went to play a show in Chicago, legendary punk club called Oz.
Yes, I know it. Naked Raygun.
We played at the last location because I think Oz moved around a couple of locations. But the guy that owned Oz had us down. We played, and he's like, "Wow, you guys are really great. I'm actually promoting a Black Flag show in a couple of nights. Can you guys stick around and do the after show party?" And we're like,
wow.
Yeah, of course we will. And so that was the night where we met the guys in Black Flag, got on their radar, and that led to getting, Mike Watt's phone number. Went on our first tour in 1981, and we're in San Francisco. I'm calling up Mike Watt, trying to get gigs, and he's like, nothing's going on here. So then we end up going back to Minneapolis. That's when we record Land Speed Record. We send that to SST, and they're like, we like it. Not the kind of thing that we want to roll out. But Joe Carducci is like, I think I will ask Mike Watt if New Alliance would like to put this out. And Watt was like, I don't even have to hear it. It's like, I'm just going to put it out. So that really kind of how all of that starts. We have a Southern California connection. We go out to LA and we record Everything Falls Apart. And SST wasn't quite ready to put that out. So we put it out on our own label. And then after that, SST is like, okay, we're ready for you guys. And
Metal Circus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's 1983. Yeah.
Yep. 83. And they got trimmed back to an EP from an LP just because we ran out of time. We had so much time booked in the middle of a tour. I think we were definitely much better prepared when we came in the next time to Total Access with Spot to record Zen Arcade, where we had the whole fucking thing planned out and knew exactly what we're going to do.
That's interesting here because that record feels like it has a lot of spontaneity buried within it. We're going to get into that next, but that's interesting here that you had it all planned out.
Well, there definitely was spontaneity involved just because now we're in a studio and it's like, all right, well, you've got 12 hours to like make noise, and we're able to like lay down the basic tracks really quick. And then like that gave us time to flesh it out.
I want to go back really quickly because one of my favorite songs is the Grant Hart song, It's Not Funny Anymore. I that's still listen to that.
Yeah.
It has an interesting like opposite side of a coin of another favorite song of mine, or from Cat Stevens from the Harold and Maude soundtrack of If You Want to Sing Out. It's kind of like an averse, dark counterpart to that song.
Oh yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, I could see that. Yeah. That actually is a song that I've been playing with Ultrabomb. So.
Oh, cool.
And I really love that song.
Yeah, it's always been one of my favorites.
Right. So Grant kind of wrote that at a time when we were on the road, and there was a lot of dogma surrounding punk rock, as if like, well, you're not punk rock if you're not like this.
Exactly. I know. The punk rock codes.
First off, I hate gatekeepers. Fuck all the gatekeepers, no matter what you're doing. But I think that really does sum up a punk essence, is like, just be yourself and be who you want to be, and go ahead and change if you want to, find out who you are. And anybody else that says that like you're not authentic or true to anything is like, okay, well, what's your agenda then?
I can't say much more about it because I don't like talking about songs too much, but it definitely has affected me. But it also feels like it has like a darker tone because it has like a interesting spewing that lovely stuff, but also as like a criticism of it too. It sounds like in some way,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a complex but simple song. I really love it. Now I want to jettison us because I want to get through these, but these are just great moments. So thank you, Greg, for talking about this with me. Just so you know, the only thing in our van allowed when me and Ben were touring with Screeching Weasel was Ramones' It's Alive, Double Nickels on the Dime, and Zen Arcade. Those are the only records that we were allowed to listen to.
That sounds like great traveling tunes there. Love it.
So I'm really interested to hear you talk, just for my own pleasure, but hopefully the audience too, of this, not really a rivalry, but I didn't even know about this until I heard an interview of this, both of you and Minutemen putting a live album out around the same day. Actually, it came out, I think, the same day you had said in one interview. But it's kind of reminded me of like what is it called? Animal Sounds, whatever, with Brian Wilson and the Beatles, like competing with like creating a sound or something. It rang of a little bit of that to me.
Brian Wilson puts out Pet Sounds, and the next thing the Beatles do is drop Sgt. Pepper's. And that totally broke Brian Wilson. Seriously, I mean, right? So, but all right, so the Minutemen, Hüsker Dü, those guys were like fucking brothers, right? And Mike Watt to this day is still I consider one of my best friends.
He's a good supporter of my show too, so I'll love him forever too.
Watt's great, and of course he's got his podcast too, which has been going on for fucking 30 years. Can you fucking believe it?
Yeah. Hello, John in the future here. Mike Watt has a blog that's called the Mike Watt's Hoot Page, and his podcast is called the Watt from Pedro Show. I'll probably have those in the links for you to peruse. Back to the interview.
So Mike Watt tells me that we saved the world from seeing the Minutemen on an album cover completely naked.
Yeah.
They were going to release a record. They had, it was already recorded. It was a single album. It was called Minutemen, Nothing to Hide. And then we turned in the tapes to SST, and they were like, wait, what? Zen Arcade's a double album? We can't come out with a single album. So they literally scrambled and put together another fucking record's worth of material.
Yeah.
And the line, "Take that, Hüskers," is like, all right, we got you guys.
Is a right with petition. I have this philosophy. Is your life worth a painting? Is this girl versus boy with different symbol? Being bored is power. Scout leader, Nazi tag, this big sin. Your risk, change me hostage. Me, I'm fighting with my head. I'm not ambiguous. I must look like a dork.
Yeah, SST did drop both albums on the same day, although there are, nobody can seem to pinpoint when the Zen Arcade actually got released, but I'm pretty sure it was whatever day that Double Nickels on the Dime got dropped as well.
Still to this day, one of the two of the top records up there. Also,
oh man, it's seriously, it's like two of the greatest punk records ever, and they're both fucking double records, and they came out on the same day.
Yeah, wow.
What?
Also, to go like it almost wasn't an accident for me to talk about it. It's not funny anymore because you went into talking about like the gatekeepers and stuff. And what I think what you guys did there, which a lot of people in punk didn't catch on to it, and once again, the gatekeepers started full force came in like during pop punk, my time, and a little bit later. But you guys basically did two of the things that like prog bands were doing that you're not supposed to do in punk, which is a double record and concepts.
Right. So another quick thing about Zen Arcade. In the middle of that session, we recorded all the basics, laid down the vocals. We had some guitar parts done. Rough mix. We had a week off. We had to drive up to the Northwest to play some shows in Seattle and Portland and San Francisco. We were staying with Jello Biafra, played him the tape. Here's our new record. And listens through the whole thing, and at the end he just goes, "Ah, yes, Hüsker Dü, the band that brought self-indulgence back to rock and roll." And we're like, okay.
That's that California, dry humor of it. Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to jettison a little further, but thank you for that. Thank you for that record, and thank you for talking about it. If anybody wants to get more deep into it, just listen to the record and Google the record. You're going to find someone from the band talking about it. But we'll move on to. I heard recently too that there's a 4 record, or did it just come out? The Miracle Year, 1985.
Yeah, actually. This just got announced last week. Numeral Group, November 6th, I think, is the date that the box set drops. Four LPs, and how this all came about when Numero did the Savage Young Do, the first box set 6 years ago. That's when we started going through all of the assets that were still in control of the band, and we discovered we had a 24 track tape of 2 shows from First Avenue, January 30th, 1985. The band, actually, what we were gonna do was we were recording a live album. We're gonna shoot it on video. We were planning on releasing that later in 85, but New Day Rising just dropped at the same time. We recorded Flip Your Wig a couple of months later. That comes out in September. We get signed to Warner Brothers right after we record Flip Your Wig. So that whole live record got just shelved and forgotten about. So then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, there it is. We haven't located the video, which it kind of sucks, but we think it's out there somewhere. So anyway, the record is, the first 2 discs are that 1985 performance, January 30th. And the other 2 albums, LPs in the collection, are all live tracks from 1985. It was a big year for Hüsker Dü, no doubt.
Yeah, that's in that year you had Flip Your Wig and New Day Rising, and then probably Zen Arcade had just come out right before that. So, and you're probably touring.
Oh, we also recorded Candy Apple Gray in 1985.
In 85. Ah, okay. Right. Wow. That's
a
busy time.
Listening through all of those 85 tapes, it's like, okay, there's Metal Circus, Zen Arcade, getting into New Day Rising, there's Flip Your Wig, and then at the end you already have Candy Apple Gray coming. It was like a huge year for the band. The
other thing that I want to go, because so I'll have it in the notes. I actually tried to find it, and it's already sold out from a lot of places. So I'm going to try to get this podcast turned around pretty quick. So people try to get it as quick as you can.
Yeah. I think there were some color options that sold out right away. But
yeah, that's right. So the record is still in. Yeah, it's still. Yeah. But I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but I did notice in that Miracle Year of 85, and you were close to Minutemen, is also when we lost D. Boone.
Yep.
was in December of '85. And I often, when I talk to Mike, was opened up about. I'm surprised he opened up so much about it because I could just see it in what happened to him after that. How deeply it affected him, like losing his friend, but also like a creative, inspiring person to work with. And the weird correlation I had to, because I come from metal, is like when Ozzy lost Randy Rhoads. That was like, you see he's kind of lost for a while trying to get these different guitars or whatever to come fill in this place. And then you eventually just realize you have to do something different instead of trying to replace somebody that's
Right.
irreplaceable. But you were around for that time. So I just didn't know if you had any story or feelings or how you felt about that time or what.
D Boone was one of my best friends, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it was really fucking hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, the actually the first time that Watt got back up on the stage after that happened was Hüsker Dü played at the Roxy in LA in '87, and he got up and played the encore. I just gave him my bass, and I think Bob, Grant, and Mike did a couple of Who numbers, but Watt just like went wild, and he like bit a string off of my bass, and there were actually like teeth marks on that bass. But yeah, losing D Boone was hard. He was that man could pogo, and he was a super fucking sweetheart.
Yeah, that, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the world is going to remember all the amazing creative guitarists in the world, but he's definitely on that list of no matter what genre you're talking about. He just had something that was natural, that was both fucked up and beautiful in his
Oh
sound.
yeah.
That I don't think anyone could ever try to. I think he did with Mike with Firehose did a good job of trying to do something similar but different. I really liked Firehose a lot too.
Yeah, no, I like Fire Hose a lot as well, and had an opportunity to go out and play some shows. I had a band called Gray Area right after Husker broke up. We did some Fire Hose shows together. But yeah, no, Ed was a good foil to what was going on. I think that also gave Mike an opportunity to try some different stuff. I mean, both bands were amazing.
Yeah, there's for those of the audience, I can't remember the name right now, but is it this? Was it what's the name of that movie? The documentary. There's a Minutemen documentary. I think you're in it. I can't remember the
Oh,
name of it.
we jam Econo.
Yeah, we jam Econo. That's
Yeah,
one of my top punk documentaries. So
yeah.
for those of you, you can get a lot more look into D Boone from that. You said this thing that made me feel like my relationship when I was in Screeching Weasel for years. I had two guys that were like incredible writers. They're like in pop punk, they're known as like some two of the best like pop punk writers, like Ben Weasel and Dan Vapid. And I was a support of them. And I kind of felt like you had said one time like that George Harrison, where you're struggling to try to get some song in and voice. And what I ended up becoming was very good at of helping someone else construct their song. Like it was a talent that I didn't even know I was nurturing because I felt kind of like, oh, that's weird that I'm not doing that.
I can relate.
Yeah. But when I started my own band, even in Blackouts, I struggled to be a writer because I felt like I didn't have that time to learn to do it because I was kind of like put in the back. But I did have the chops to help all the other people in my band make their songs good. So I felt like in my band, even in Blackouts, I sort of learned how to be a writer because of that experience, of that, maybe that frustration in Weasel. So I'm just curious about, and that leads up to the breakup of the band too, like, cause that's around '88. And that'll jettison us into the rest of your career and into Ultrabomb. So is there anything you'd like to say about what I respond to what I had said?
Yeah, actually, so in the early years of Husker, it definitely felt like a collaboration with all of us.
Yeah.
And as the band progressed, Bob was learning how to write songs. Bob has always been so prolific and just an amazing amount of like ideas. And, and we were constantly working on new stuff. Grant, I think, struggled with that, with trying to keep up with Bob. Then when Grant would present his stuff, though, I think it was a little bit more polished. As that got more intense, I felt like I was, yeah, kind of squeezed out, and it'd be like, hey, I got an idea. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever. And so never really feeling like I was being taken seriously. But on the flip side of that, I think that loosened up Bob to just do some wild fucking guitar stuff on things that I was writing, not in like a sense is like he didn't give a shit what he was doing, but a sense that's like it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, which I think was very powerful and very cool. When the band broke up, we were working on material for the third Warner Brothers album, which was scheduled to be recorded in February of 1988. And of course, that never happened. But then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, where's your material? Are you working on stuff? And so there was a lot of pressure. But yeah, I mean, I had ideas, I had stuff. Never really feeling that like I was being taken seriously about it. But anyway, fast forward to Ultrabomb. Getting together with those guys did take me back to those early days of Husker, where it's like sort of like what you were just saying, you were able to kind of help make the band better just because of what's in your tool set, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the things about Ultrabomb, where we were able to walk into a studio twice and write a record each time in just a couple of days. It really was about people just being able to walk in and go like, oh, okay, I can play. And we played together. We made two great records. I'm rambling right now.
Yeah, I want to get to where you're going, so you don't need to struggle through trying to ramble through it. I can go forward past this unless you have something to say to it. But leading into becoming a chef for a while and not doing music, I know you had the other band, that Gray Area and Con Queso, I think you did, which is an improvisation band.
Yep.
I know I did when Screeching Weasel, me and Ben broke up. But did you feel lost for a while after that? Did it have anything to do with the career change, or are those, am I building some sort of line there, or is there?
Well, so I live in Red Wing, Minnesota, which is about an hour outside of Minneapolis, and it's a pretty small town. And I've lived here since 1983. So when the band broke up, all of a sudden I was kind of felt isolated, in the Twin Cities, where I could continue to try to do things with other people. And I think that's one reason why I kind of drifted back towards the restaurant business then.
Right. So you were secluded away from it. So the losing the band and being secluded probably did emotionally affect you and like decisions you were making. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I dealt with a lot of depression. Yeah. It was a serious funk for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Still probably dealing with the back end of all of that. So
I'm right there with you. It never goes away. People are like, when are you going to go over this, John? I was like, it doesn't go away, because even, you lose a friend, you lose that sort of thing you had that you can't recapture, and you have to try to rebuild something new, and then maybe revisit it later. Like I think both of us have done with our newer bands. It's a lot to deal with. It doesn't go away because people are fans of yours, so they keep on little reminders here and there of your past. But I'm just fascinated because a lot of punks become chefs, and even me and my wife during the pandemic became huge into cooking. So was that some sort of relief for you? Did it like put this, I don't know, some passion into something different for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked many times about the similarity between the two jobs. The hours are really close to the same. Especially like if you work in the kitchen, you show up, you have to do all your prep. That's like load in and sound check. As soon as like, the dinner bell hits and you start getting tickets in, that's when you start the set. You just don't know what song you're going to have to play.
Yeah.
And then when it's all done, you clean up, you pack up, everybody leaves, and people sit around and have drinks and talk about how the night went. It's very similar.
Do you is cooking still something that's important to you, like as just in your own life?
I still like to look at recipes and think like, oh, that would be really cool to try to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
I live by myself. I have a 11-year-old now, daughter and a 9-year-old daughter, and they're not necessarily into fancy food. I don't really have a chance to sit around and cook for people, but and I also don't miss it, which is okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And also, happy birthday to your daughter, Coco, right?
Yep.
I'll do these two and then we'll go into the Ultrabomb. So you come back and you work on Gang Font, which I think fits into you interesting way because it's this jazz playing that's like crazy. And I love it. I've never heard it before. I just started listening yesterday to the record you have out. And that leads into a tour with Porcupine, which got you back on the road. Like, I think it was like 30 years since you were actually touring around in the area. And so I'll go through a little bit. So then, but you left with, I can't remember the guy who runs that band, but sort of have different differences, different style differences. So that lasted like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, Porcupine lasted 5 years, maybe 6.
What I'm interested during that is during an interview, I heard you say that you were going to be doing some shows with Bob, and this was before that happened. I don't know whether those happened or not. Porcupine was played with Bob Mould.
Actually, Porcupine did open up for Bob.
Yes, yeah.
In St. Paul at the Palace Theater on March 30th of 2019. Which happened to be the 40-year anniversary of the first time that Bob, Grant, and I played with Charlie as Hüsker Dü at Ron's Randolph Inn. That was a great show.
I only bring it up because in the interview, you were saying you were talking in the future, like it was happening soon, and you hadn't played on stage with him or near him for a long time before that. So that's why I was just curious.
I don't think Bob has any interest in us getting together, so and that's fine.
I'm not even going there. I know what he said about that. So and just as a side note for the audience, during that time you're in Porcupine, we also lost Grant Hart in September of 2017 to cancer. So
right, yeah.
So there's the pandemic and then Ultrabomb. So give us the whatever's part of the story you want to give of the forming of that. The band at first was Finney McConnell, who was from the Mahonas. We've been in that band for like 30 years. An amazing sort of a pogues punk Irish folk band. And I think Jamie Oliver, who might not be in the band now anymore, drummer or
right.
Yeah. So how did that happen?
Well, actually, so the Porcupine segue, Porcupine, we played our last show about a month before the pandemic, like shut everything down. The guitar player, Casey, just decided he wanted to go in a different direction. His prerogative, it was his band. It was about a year and a half after that, though, was when he finally said something about that. And Finney McConnell saw that post on Facebook, contacted me and was like, hey, let's start a band. I know the greatest punk rock drummer in the world. His name's Jamie Oliver. He plays in the UK subs. And the original idea was to just kind of play some Husker songs, play some Mahones, play some UK subs, maybe throw a couple other things in, just play at festivals or parties or whatever for laughs. And about 6 weeks after that first call, Finney was like, hey, I'm going to be in Berlin. I have studio time booked. I'm thinking about maybe throwing down some demos for some ideas I have for Ultrabomb. Jamie's going to be here at the same time. I had never met these guys in person.
Yeah.
So I decided to book a flight to Berlin. I had also never been to Berlin before. So there was kind of it's like,
wow,
hey,
that's cool.
I'd kind of like to go to Berlin
thing
on the side. So the very first time the three of us were in a room together was in the studio at Studio 25. And actually we're coming right up on 4 years. Because it was I think September 9th, I want to say.
Yeah, was that in 21? Because it came out in 22, but that was probably in 21.
2021.
Yeah.
And And Finney was just like, "Oh, well, here's an idea I've got," and the three of us like started knocking together like arrangements and putting together tunes and laying everything down. Jamie actually had to wasn't available on Saturday or Sunday in the studio, so we had to make sure like all the drum parts were down. And Hansi, the engineer, would be like, "We're like, all right, yeah, go ahead and record that," and then he'd be like, "I cannot believe that you guys just like wrote that song in front of me." And we did that for 2 days, and we wrote 10 songs.
Wow.
You wanna be a star, be a star. You wanna be a star and go far. Go for the everythings, go for all the dreams. You're just going shooting star.
Finished the record up, and literally it was like lightning in a bottle type of thing. It was also one of those, moments where it's like I just felt like I had been playing with these guys forever. But there again, that gets back to the toolbox.
Yeah.
It's like the three of us knew how to make music together because everybody's listening, but also, everybody had a deep toolbox to dip into. And so that's basically how Ultrabomb starts. And then we totally fuck up by trying to decide to put the record out ourselves and botch that whole fucking thing. Tried to get out on the road a couple of times. We kept getting like held up by, COVID restrictions and health things. And then I end up getting diagnosed with prostate cancer. So we play one show in 2022. And the record is still not out yet. And right after that show in Minneapolis, I have my prostate out. Skip forward to 2023. We do our first U.S. tour. We have the Barstool Preachers with us. And I think the record, the record finally comes out. By the end of that tour, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? But that tour was humbling. We played a lot of empty venues, but then it also had like a huge highlight of playing punk rock bowling in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The end of 2023, we go to England to return the favor and then open up for Barstool Preachers on one of their tours. And while we're there, we record our second record, Dying to Smile. And again, write the whole fucking thing in 2 days and finish it up a couple of days later. That was at Perryvale with Pat Collier.
Yeah.
I knew Pat was going to get me a good bass tone.
Yeah.
He did not disappoint.
He actually did. Did he work some work on the first one too? I have these two names here that were Gene Hughes and Pat Collier.
So Pat helped Jamie mix the first record.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gene Hughes is Finney's producer guy in Toronto.
Yeah, he works with Mahones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those two records, so people know, are Time to Burn, was the first one, and then Dying to Smile.
Right.
I guess some of my last questions here are, I know a lot of it sound like you're excited. You're professionals who've been around for a long time. You know what you're doing it quick. So it has that nice sort of, seat of your pants, but lightning in a bottle, but it has that energy, but also well played. Was there any intentionality of going back? Like, and once again, this has come to me, like I've just put out a band that's reminiscent of my old band, and I'm thinking to myself, is this intentional or is it where I am now? But I do hear a lot of not just Hüsker Dü, but a lot of that 80s, even like the bands like The Call or The Cult. I can hear those in there along with Hüsker Dü.
Right.
So is there any intentionality to go to that, or is that just what's coming out of you?
Well, definitely a big part of that is Finney. And Finney was writing the riffs. I did all the lyrics. And he loves Hüsker Dü. He loves the Who. He loves a lot of the bands that you just mentioned, and some of those riffs were stuff that he had been He's like, oh, I wrote that one. Actually, like that cult riff type of thing. He's like, oh, I wrote that one back in the early '80s.
Yeah.
I don't think anything was intentional, but obviously, you get into a thing and you start wearing your influences on your slave.
Yeah.
Of course, Finney and Jamie are no longer in the band.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's not Finney either.
Yes. So the band has gone. I'm the only me and the merch guy. We're the OGs now. So a year ago, we replaced Jamie with Derek O'Brien on drums, and the main thing with Jamie was some visa issues and being able to tour in the States. And it's like,
yeah,
dude, we need to be able to tour in North America. And so Jamie steps down. Derek O'Brien takes his spot. Derek O'Brien drummed with Social Distortion and Agent Orange and Adolescence and DI. And that was like a year ago. At the beginning of this year, Finney and I have both lost sisters in the last year to cancer.
Oh, man.
So Finney decided to step down. So Ryan Smith, who plays in Soul Asylum, is our new guitar player. So
cool.
Right now, Ryan, Derek, and I are working on new material to get into the studio, hopefully by the end of October, and get a new record recorded. It's probably not going to sound like Hüsker Dü or the Cult anymore.
It'll sound like who you are and who these people are. But I was going to put Soul Asylum. I was going to put Soul Asylum in that grouping of bands that I was reminiscent of. So we'll see where it goes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been. I don't want to get. I mean, people can listen to the lyrics and stuff, but it does. And those are mostly yours, then, huh? I only have the digital version, so I didn't get to go into like who wrote songs and stuff.
So on Dying to Smile, Jamie wrote the song West in the Summertime. Those are his lyrics. And the other two records are Dying to Smile and Time to Burn. Those are all my lyrics.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I inhaled a lot of it and a lot of the feeling of it. And it's what life is about. It's like what we are now too. There's like joy. There's about like that idea of do what you can while you can. And there's also some darkness, like death is all around us now. So it's you're really good at reflecting what's going on right now for you.
Yeah.
But also bringing in that effect from the past.
I was thinking I should start promoting my tours. It's like, come see me tonight. I could be dead tomorrow.
Greg, if you don't mind saying, but do you think that the cancer-ish, did that must have affected your writing between the records, right?
Yeah,
your attitude and what you're writing about.
Yeah, I mean, also for everybody watching and listening, it's like, so I had prostate cancer and I had my prostate removed and my margins are clean. So I'm good. It's all good. Yeah, it's like, no, one of those things is like when you first learn that you have a cancer diagnosis, you're like, oh, fuck. I need to get a lot of shit done. And in a way, it kind of becomes like a superpower to kind of put things in perspective. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that don't have prognoses as well as I turned out. But I mean, I just lost my sister to leukemia earlier this year. And no, cancer definitely kicks you in the head. And it makes you just look at everything different. So,
yeah, I just want to throw in there too, because this is what our lives are about. But we brought Pat Collier, who also just passed away last year, right after the recording of that record, probably. So,
yeah, fuck cancer. Cancer sucks.
Yeah, I know. What can we say to end this? We're not ending on fuck cancer.
All right.
What's
release the Epstein files?
I know these are crazy times. I just want to say too that I've been blessed to be able to interview a lot of my old heroes that are now coming back around and putting out stuff that's like very vital and good. Like Steve McDonald, whether Red Cross put out a new record, then I I interviewed why am I blank his name? One of my favorite from Off and Circle Jerks. I just forgot his name.
Carl, Stephen, Bill, Scott.
The singer,
Oh, Keith.
Keith Morris.
Why did it take me so long to get to Keith?
I know, me too.
Ah,
But it's really great how vital a lot of this music is sounding, and it's not like it doesn't seem. Maybe we've just outgrew the fact that punk is supposed to be for the young, and we're still here, so we're just deciding to put out good music. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's just me being like nostalgic about it. I think a lot of really great older musicians are putting out some good music.
absolutely. Yeah, it's like D Boone. Punk is what we want it to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is what punk is.
You know what you did right there, Greg, is you actually brought it to a good ending instead of fuck cancer.
Well, that too.
And you brought it around. It's like a good novel.
All right.
Greg, thank you very much for your time. And when we hang up, that's it. It's the beginning of the beginning is the and the end is the end. So I thank you for all your time and your work. You're much appreciated on this end, and I hope I could help out however I can with my show for you.
Hey, I really appreciate that you had me on. And one moment, one time.
All right, sir.
All right.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
If you have made it this far, you just got done listening to Stickman vs. Hangman by Ultrabomb. Thank you for listening, and thank you for participating whenever you can. Remember to help out in the monetary way if you can by giving donations at PayPal at jugheadsbasement@gmail.com, or you can go to the site www.jugheadsbasementpodcast.com, press that button that takes you to the Patreon, and become a member. You can also write reviews online wherever you like to write reviews. And lastly, share episodes you like to share. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.